60% or more of the global production comes out of India. When we start talking about new technology, they are at the same level as us and we are at the same level as them.
Two things that stand out for teams in India is the bias for execution and a huge amount of learnability. So whatever comes to us, we get it done on time, get it done to the right quality.
So we started with 32 people. Now we are more than 1,000 people, so it was a very slow and gradual growth. We are now already designing chips which are 3 nanometers, which is the leading edge nodes in India, in Bangalore and Noida.
If we have to grow and if we have to be a developed nation to $15,000 per capita in the next 20 years, we have to grow 5 times, roughly. And so manufacturing has to grow, and so the talent has to grow.
20% of the global talent for chip design is in India, with all these companies. So there's a lot of talent war which keeps happening, and so it's not easy to get the kind of talent we want. But that's why we rely, and I think that's a good strategy. We do rely on the freshmen to join us.
Mr. Raman, I want to start with you. How do you build leadership that the parent company takes you so seriously that you begin to take major decisions out of India? How did you get there?
Well, I think as far as Maruti Suzuki is concerned, it's a very unique organization, and since the inception. Started off as a public sector company, and then we privatized in 2002, 2003. So technology leadership coming from Japan, to start with, but management and local, the marketing, sales, supply chain, and everything, quality, everything being built here. So started off as looking at, getting guidance from Japan and then imbibing it. And I think it's also about the opportunity available in the organization to be able to take that, to learn, adapt, and also take the leadership position to actually by demonstrating. I think it is sheer demonstration of capability after learning the ropes and then taking decisions. Of course, having said that, initially, of course, management was, the technical part was being looked at by Japanese, and the other part was being looked at by the Indian management. But over a period of time, slowly, that change has happened. The change has happened because they've realized that the people here are equally adept at taking the responsibility and delivering it. It's by demonstration. And so, by giving slowly the opportunity and being able to demonstrate that has built the confidence in both the managements to be able to give that platform to the people and take that leadership role. And so it's today, we are at an equal footing. We share products, we share technologies, we take leadership roles in different spaces depending on where we are organized and where the best possible delivery can happen. And so it's kind of changed and evolved over a period of time. So I think it's also about, I believe it's also about the Indian engineers, the capability which they have got to learn very quickly and to ace it at different levels, and it's surely by demonstration is what I believe.
Demonstration and capability, which then you demonstrate excellent work. And now Japan itself, I guess, with their populations declining and all that, I guess India will become more and more important for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are today, 60% or more of the global production comes out of India. A large part of the development is happening here. the growth of market is in India. It's not happening in Europe as far as the auto industry is concerned. It is not happening in Japan. The growth areas are Africa, Latin America, India, and ASEAN. And building that synergy across these zones, India is really, uniquely placed to be able to, harness the local talent, and having learned all the, whatever is required from Japan by working over a period of time, being able to develop that and, delivering in time at the global quality levels. Obviously, the overlying layer is the Suzuki technology in terms of the standards and all of that. But when we start talking about new technology, we are at the same levels, and we start, as, they are at the same level as us and we are at the same level as them. So it's just that.
Fantastic. We are the same level as the Japanese. You want to add to that, Praveen?
Yeah, no, I'll just say that, in business, nothing comes on a platter, right? So you got to earn the trust. And I think to the point that Mr. Raman and Praveen mentioned earlier, it's very similar, like you got to build proof points that you can do what you are asked to do, and on that you earn the right to then demand more, right? And I think if you look at, our role is essentially like a chef in a kitchen, and you all look at what your raw materials you're playing with, right? And I think two things that stand out for teams in India is the bias for execution and a huge amount of learnability. So, you're dealing with a really young workforce. Our average age of employees is like 29 years. So, we have a young workforce who've got like 30 years of career ahead of them, and therefore they're really keen to get out of that mundane work, which might come to us, automate it, and look for what's next. And I think so if you put those two, you have predictability of execution. Whatever comes to us, we get it done on time, get it done to the right quality, and that becomes like, your biggest problems in the, you started with sort of relatively maybe a peripheral problems, but now the biggest programs which need to be delivered predictably, go to India, because, it'll get done, people are confident. So I think that's a good brand to have, that, stuff that gets lined up to get done, because people will stretch, people will do whatever it takes, our folks will be, the level of commitment to cause or to our work is the next level, right, in the country. So that I think is a fantastic brand as a generic sort of theme. But then on building on top of that is now the subject matter expertise, the functional expertise for specific areas which you can call out, where you can take global leadership positions. So that I think is the next phase of evolution, which at least for us, calling those out sharply, that these are the areas where, the whole organization will benefit, because a large part of the execution anyway is happening from here. We take the global leadership no matter what is happening elsewhere as well, and we become the global leaders in those spaces. So that's how.
Young population, great at execution, and then we take leadership. Anku, where are you in that journey? You said the Asian cultures are a little slow and all that.
So, for MediaTek, we have been here for 21 years, and we started with 32 people. Now we are more than 1,000 people, so it was a very slow and gradual growth for us, and I'm sure some people think like trust and demonstration of stuff, that plays an important role. But I think with Taiwan and also with countries like Korea and so on, I think culture also plays a big role. I think that's a very, very different ways of working what we do in India. We are a democracy, everyone has their opinion, right? So, but I think in these countries like Taiwan and Korea, Singapore, I see that a person who is a senior person, so people will just follow him because they really believe that he's right. He's a senior and he's a superior, so he must be right. But in India, everyone has an opinion. So if you have to manage a team, I think 10 people will have 10 different opinions. So you have to form a consensus. It's very different from the way Taiwan thing works. So that's why, we have, I think the most important thing for building a leadership for a company like us is that trust has to be there, but also to adopt the DNA of the mothership, which is Taiwan HQ. How do we adopt that? Because they are the bigger, set of people. So we have to adopt to their ways of working. And there's nothing wrong or right, just a different ways of working. So I think what we have seen is that slowly and steadily in the last so many years, we have been able to build that DNA to a large extent. And our old timers, people who are here for 15, 20 years, they are providing very good leadership, and they are able to, have a lot of trust in the HQ. And we are now getting very, very excellent kind of work here. So what there's something called, nodes of chipset. So we are now already designing chips which are 3 nanometers, which is the leading edge nodes in India, in Bangalore and Noida. So earlier it was slightly legacy kind of thing. Let's say it was like 4G earlier. Now it's 5G, and we're also working on 6G, which is coming out in 4-5 years. So we are doing leading edge work in India. So that is something which has started, we can say maybe 4-5 years ago. But it's a very long and arduous and gradual journey for us. And now I think the flywheel has been set. And whenever I talk to HQ, they feel that more and more things has to be done from India, in MediaTek India. So they want to grow. Again, it will be very slow. Taiwan is a very conservative, they take steps very slowly and all that. So growth will be slow, but I think there will be definitely growth here, further growth here for us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I hear from more and more GCCs around the country, that the confidence that the parent company has in the GCC is growing so much because of what all of you said. We are first very adaptable people in some sense. We are young. We know these technologies better than many others. And we are demonstrating what can be done, and therefore the leadership gets so much confidence that increasingly a lot of the leadership of various products, various innovations, various processes begin to be done out of India itself. I want to touch upon a topic that point that Sangeeta and Shailaja also discussed, the ecosystem effect. Sangeeta spoke about the different, we have educational institutions, we have startups, we have IT services, and of course the tech companies, big setups, and then of course GCCs. That's one kind of ecosystem. Within your companies itself, I hear from a lot of GCCs that there are all the elements that the parent company has in terms of different functions, the different verticals are present in the GCCs in India, which makes it easier to innovate, collaborate. I wanted to ask you how, and in Maruti Suzuki and Anku's cases, Anku's is still developing, but fast developing. In Maruti Suzuki's case, you also developed a good manufacturing setup and also a supplier ecosystem. In Anku's case, that's beginning to happen. How is this ecosystem working for GCCs in terms of the confidence that the parent company has? So Raman, you want to take that? Yeah.
So I think it's very, very important. And when we look at product development and you're looking at, concurrent engineering today, so you need to, gone are the days when you were pre-2000, you get a drawing and you make a part, localize it, develop assemble the vehicle and you're, evaluate it and that's it. But today, when we are looking at products, we are looking at, in our case, 17, 18 brands, having product life cycles of 6 years, mid-cycle every 3 years. So every 2 years you need to develop at least 1 or 2 new models and refreshes along with that. You have to have, development capability and capacity to be able to, do this. But you can't do it alone, because in case of OEMs like us, 60 to 65% by value of parts comes from system suppliers like the Bosches and the Continentals. The MediaTek is a tier 2, so like that we have tier 1s who are doing this, the Harmans and the, Vistions and so on and so forth. They all have to collaborate and work. And they have to have an equally capable team available who can support the OEMs concurrently. Because when you are going, you are running the program and inputs have to come and you have to collaborate with them on a real-time basis. And the same thing happens with the parent in Japan. If you are sharing platforms or if you are sharing products, you have to do it in almost on an immediate basis. You're working on the same program at the same time and you are correcting the data and they are able to see what you're doing or getting that input. So I think ecosystem development is something which has taken time in the case of Maruti, Suzuki, or for the OEMs in India, because when I talked about scale, it's about whether you can develop globally and support locally, or you need to have local capability because enough capacity is not available globally. And so today that is what is changing, that you need to develop the capability and capacity in India to make that support happen. And that is what is changing. And you can see a lot of the auto component suppliers ecosystem growing, because they are not just talking about getting the drawing and developing the part or just manufacturing it. They have to co-develop along with the OEM. And you need to do that same thing when you're doing manufacturing. You need to do that with tooling suppliers. You need to do that with machine tool manufacturers. So it's a whole lot of ecosystem which needs to be built up. And I think that's something which has happened over the last 15 to 20 years. And somebody would say that why it has taken so much time. And this is the reason why it takes time. But having said that, today you are at a base. From here, it's only about scaling up and developing it more and developing new technologies. And for that new technology, as I said, you need to develop that with, with the ecosystem, with, maybe the academic institutions or the startups, get that new technology, and application engineering.
So Breza, when you were doing it, it was across all of these Bosch and Continental and all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even semiconductor companies in India?
That we have started doing now. After the, COVID, during the COVID period, where, hitherto we were not engaging with semiconductor manufacturers because the tier ones were doing that.
You would engage with Raman and Visteon, right?
Yeah, we were doing that. So, and we used to talk to the Bosches and the Hermans and the Visteons. But COVID taught us that the semiconductor is another thing, and the rare earth is now the next part of it. And so, so now it is about how you are able to take care of the raw material to the raw material stage. You need to, develop that supply chain, and that is increasingly becoming important.
Anku, you want to add? Your ecosystem is now beginning to.
Okay. So I think I'll talk about two aspects. So ecosystem from talent point of view, first of all. So you would be very surprised to know that 20% of the global talent for design, chip design, is in India. So if you talk about NVIDIA and Intel and MediaTek.
Talent, can we come to that at the end?
Okay.
Next section?
All right, sure. So for ecosystem, I think, as you said, we have a lot of manufacturing happening now, and also electronics manufacturing has picked up speed in the last 5-7 years. So that, in that sense, the ecosystem is making us have more and more engineers and talent here, because we have to do local support. Company like Oppo has an R&D center here. We have BBDN, Dixon, all these companies. So they are using, many of them are using MediaTek chips. So we have to make sure that we are able to provide the local support. That's that's one need. But I think overall ecosystem, you will see from manufacturing point of view, there's a lot of traction now. So we have, for example, customers in Tata and Skoda. I'm not sure about Maruti, but Skoda and Tata are customers for us from automobile point of view. But we have also Jio, Airtel. So all this ecosystem is built up. Actually, we can see in front of us in the last few years, and that's the reason that MediaTek has to have more and more requirements to be fulfilled from locally from here. But I would say 80% of our R&D teams are actually extension of global R&D. So we're working on the global products that are being designed. So, but 20% would be kind of local support.
Once the manufacturing things begin to take off, that will be a big advantage for you for doing global R&D? Yeah,
it'll be definitely a big advantage. So, for example, right now, although it's many years away, but they're getting chip manufactured by TSMC. But let's say if some of the chips can be done in India, then we have local cooperation. And also it makes sense, we are the design company, then there's a chip manufacturing company, there's an electronics manufacturing company. Everything happens in India locally. And that gives a lot of advantage from cost advantage and so on. So it is going to, but it's a I would say it's a multi-decade thing.
I Are you
maybe.
beginning to work with startups in India?
So startups, we work with startups in the sense that, a lot of them are doing IoT based products. So we do support them for, they need some chips for Bluetooth, Wi-Fi or something. And we have to support them.
Are you using their help to develop some of your chips or anything like that?
No, that doesn't happen. Not yet, not yet. Because actually we are a design company, and so far, so fabless design is a very arduous and difficult process. It needs a lot of investment, and you make a chip which may not sell in the end, right? So every chip has an investment requirement of $100 million, $200 million. So for a startup, it's difficult. And but Indian startups, I think now they're coming. Of course, L&T is doing a good job. L&T is the first Indian big fabless company which has started 2-3 years ago, and they are having some ambitions to design chips in India. But also startups are being supported by the government, as I mentioned, the DLI scheme, Design Link Incentive. So they give about $2 million of grant or equity, I'm not sure, but they give some grant for that, so that the startup have some, playground to play with. And so that's happening. But right now, I think they're not at a stage where we can take help from them.
Okay. Praveen, you are a universal bank, and I guess you're doing both the retail side as well as investment banking, and all of these things are within your GCC here, and multiple functions. How does that help you? Each one benefiting from the other, those kinds of things?
Yeah, no, for sure, right? So just on the previous one, actually, I wanted to point out like how the GCC ecosystem is sort of partnering locally. So for example, we recently partnered with Amazon in India, their GCC in India. So we were launching our point of sale financing solution for Amazon in Germany. And the entire development of that was done by the teams, Barclays team in Pune and the Amazon team in Bangalore. So, so I think you're launching for a different market, but the technology development underlying or underpinning that solution was done through a collaboration here. So certainly there's big tech collaboration happening. I think we were, we pulled back from that, but there was some conversation with Apple in Hyderabad, so for Apple Pay. So, so for relevant areas, there is connectivity with big tech organizations, which is, I think, fantastic. The second sort of on the startup ecosystem as well, there is, we used to have a formal structure to incubate startups, which we've kind of, through COVID, it kind of died out, but we had about 40 startups under our sort of incubation, but particularly in reporting, analytics, sustainability, finance, we need to do a lot of compliance reporting for demonstrating our, net zero ambitions, like how we are tracking to those. So a lot of that underlying reporting and the sort of analytics for that, there's lots of startups which do some good work in that space, which we were partnering with them. So there are opportunities in the local ecosystem to encourage or bring, to create value through some of those. To come back to the point that you sort of said, we are a full services firm, so clearly a full services bank, and the number of things in a bank which cut across all the services, like know your customer, KYC process has to be done no matter which business you are serving, right? So again, that's a horizontal. So, some of the fraud strategies that are adopted for different parts of the business. Payment processing is, kind of common, scale might be different, the, high value payment, cross-border payments, domestic payments, et cetera, but, there's underlying sort of regulatory compliance is important in that space. So there are initiatives or great opportunities because everything converges in India. So that opportunity for collaboration between operations, technology, different technology teams servicing different business lines, for them to be co-located and to drive acceleration in the way the solution is developed and delivered, I think those opportunities do exist.
Okay. Talent, yeah. That is what is bringing all the global companies to India. The question is, how good is our talent to make GCC sustainable? As Rajesh said, not 500, but 80 to 90 GCCs a year approximately coming every year. Just means the amount of talent you will need. And as Praveen said, obviously there are, and many of you are now looking for, I suspect, domain-specific talent as well. The IT services, this was the HR head of one of the, not Cognizant, one of the others, big ones, was saying these GCCs, we train all that. They have these massive training facilities and all that, and they are training all of these guys. And then you come in and pay a 30% extra salary or a 3 times extra salary, and you grab them. One, what can you do to improve talent in India? And also I wanted to, yeah, Praveen, you could start, but I also wanted Mr. Raman also to comment on things like, somewhere my colleague recently wrote how mechanical engineering, nobody wants to do mechanical engineering and all that. Is that a problem for companies like yours? I always thought maybe when companies like yours come in and a lot of GCCs who are into engineering and all are coming in, would they need that kind of talent as well? What should be the message to, but before that, Praveen, yeah, you want to say
No,
something?
I just wanted to say that, look, I think we got to look at glass half full, right? So I think there's fantastic talent in the country, which is really keen to
Are
learn.
you saying that because you're just poaching from the IT services companies?
No, we are not actually. No, we are not. We hire like 1,000 freshers every year. So we are not, I mean, we of course hire laterally, but we are not only hiring laterally. And what I wanted to say is that we have actually taken steps to, so we have built deep relationships with 8 institutions, academic institutions, and 4 in Pune, 2 in Mumbai, and 2 in Chennai. And we are actually, in the final year, we are actually, our folks go there and we run electives with them on cybersecurity. We have identified 2 subjects that we will run a 6-month elective, which our guys will teach or will partner with them. So I think we got to do like, okay, I mean, there is issue, right? Okay, I mean, there's generally talent availability, particularly domain aligned talent is not easily available, but we got to do what we can do, right? And we are not doing this with any expectation that those individuals will join us. We are doing it, you know, like some might decide to join us, some might decide to go elsewhere, but that's fine. I think as long as people are interested, and because we felt that cyber is a particular area where we are really weak in the country in terms of educational curriculum, and we want to do something about it. So all that I'm saying that, you know, we all take some steps to address that.
Okay, you're breaking those steps. Mr. Raman?
Yeah. So let me throw some statistics. So how I look at it a little differently. India wants to be a $30 trillion economy in next 20 years. So manufacturing is going to be roughly about 15%, and we want it to grow to 25% if we have to make that number. Auto is roughly about 50% of that today, and we want to grow, and if we have to grow, mobility itself is going to grow 5 times from today in next 20 years in all spheres, whether it is 4-wheeler, 2-wheeler, metro, air, rail, everything, go 5 times. Manufacturing, if you look at, China is at roughly about $4 trillion output. Rest of the world, including India, is $4 trillion. India is $800 billion as far as manufacturing is concerned. Auto has to be 50% of that. Today's GDP is going to be next 20 years, automotive contribution to the GDP. It's not just, the talent is not just required for, you know, technology development and design and engineering, but it's also for manufacturing. And somewhere I think manufacturing is taken, if we have to grow and if we have to be a developed nation, to $15,000 per capita in the next 20 years, we have to grow 5 times, roughly. And so manufacturing has to grow, and so the talent has to grow. Now where is the challenge? Challenge is there because you need to do machine tools, you need to get, you know, develop products, you need to do all of that, you need new mobility solutions, all of that needs to be done. People are required. Gap is there, huge gap is there. Today in Maruti, if I have to get an engineer, it takes me for a raw graduate, if he has to work on his own and take judgment capability. Judgment, that means that I can judge that it is okay or not okay. It takes him 8 years. Okay. So question is, how can I reduce that? If I have to, I talked about speed. Can I do that? Can the raw material change? Today in colleges, if you go, they are still talking and teaching carburetor technology. We move to MPI, we go on to electrification and so on. Today we are talking about, you want to have ADAS and you want to have connected and you want to talk about semiconductor and all of that. I think the opportunity has to be also available to people to be able to deliver here. And I think that's where, a lot of schemes are there for talent and for, for skilling and all of that. But, I believe that's a well, it's a deep well. You can keep putting money into it, but, how much comes out of it, I really don't know. But there are so many schemes which are happening. But I think we need to change this whole thing. And to the industry also, there is a challenge. We don't spend enough time with our students or give enough time to them. If they come for internship, how much time does a running organization give in training them and bringing up to speed? Because tomorrow you don't know whether he'll come and join you or not. So you really don't know. So I think this is it's a much bigger, challenge, but also an opportunity. Can we do that change? Because if we have to reach where we have to reach, we definitely need to make certain changes.
We have to make changes. Quick one, we are out of time. Quick words from both of you, yeah.
Okay, for talent, I think I totally agree with him. Manufacturing, now even in the semiconductor industry, right? Manufacturing is picking up speed, and talent is a big problem. How do we get that talent which can do the manufacturing or foundry and packaging and all that? Although on the design side, things are sorted out. So for us, as MediaTek, we are a design company, and we also hire about 70 to 80% people fresh from campus, and then we're able to train them in whatever we want. And 20% is lateral, but that is very challenging for us. As I mentioned earlier, 20% of the global talent for chip design is in India, with all these companies. So there's a lot of talent war which keeps happening, and so it's not easy to get the kind of talent we want. But that's why we rely, and I think that's a good strategy. We do rely on the freshmen to join us, and that's a good contribution because then they can learn on the job and take it from there. But manufacturing is still a big challenge, and as and when we want to grow as a country, we want to grow more and more in semiconductor manufacturing and all that. I think it'll take maybe 10 years to really hit a sweet spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I keep saying GCCs is one of the best stories now happening for India. Even recently I saw figures. Services exports is what is keeping us up. Merchandise exports, I think, is still, the gap is widening in terms of deficit. But services, and I suspect within that services, the GCCs are playing a big role there. Fantastic story for India, and it's been a great discussion. Thank you all. All of you are doing fantastic work, and I think it will only get better in the coming years. Thank you all so much for being part of this. Thank you. Thank you all for listening.